Welcome back. Some informal traders in Soweto are unhappy with the Gauteng government's decision to halt food sales in and around schools. They say the decision is irrational and that proper consultations did not take place. The department says the suspension remains in place until further notice after a spike in suspected food poisoning cases. Meanwhile, ActionSA says it's pushing for amendments to the township economy bylaws in an attempt to have Spaza shops be 100% South African owned. The party believes illegal trade is allowed to flourish at the expense of local entrepreneurs. ActionSA's Parliamentary Chief Whip Lerato Ngobeni joins us now for more on this. Mr. Ngobeni, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this evening. Now, today your party was on the ground in KwaMashu. The Spaza for locals is one thing that you're certainly championing for. What are the sentiments of the people on the ground with regards to this?
Thank you very much, Katleho, and good evening to Newzroom Afrika viewers. Well, we were in KwaMashu, and it's not the first time that we've been here. We've been on the ground several times. In fact, we've also done Umlazi. We've literally been all over the country, Kimberley, we've been in Gauteng, we've been in Limpopo, we've been in the Free State, Northern Cape. The sentiment is the same all around. South Africans are feeling very muzzled, almost. In fact, one of the comments that we received was that South Africans want just to breathe. They feel like they came out of apartheid, and when they were supposed to, come into their own, there was accommodations that we had to make for literally people coming from all over the world. And we understand that this has to happen and that sometimes people need refuge. But at this point in time and the juncture at which we find ourselves, South Africans really want to take their lives back into their hands because it does seem that we have been disappointed by the last 30 years of ANC governance.
So ActionSA is talking about the allowing of illegal trade to flourish at the expense of South Africans. Not so long ago, Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi was speaking after the children that died in Naledi that they had sent out forensic experts within that area to investigate all Spaza shops, both South African and foreign owned, in order to find the source of what could have taken the lives of these young children. And he reiterated that over 40% of those Spaza shops were actually South African owned. Is the narrative truly that which... Yes, you may continue.
No. So I'm sorry. I think the connection is a little bit shaky, but I think I get the gist of of what you've just shared with me.
Right.
The reality is that officials and also government officials have told us all manner of rhetoric that really doesn't resonate with the ground. There's no way that you would have such a precipitation of sentiment all around the country if in fact what the officials have been telling us has been true. And there's no way that we could have collected data. We gain absolutely nothing from this. We don't gain anything from vilifying anyone. What we are doing is we are wanting to be the voice for the voiceless. We want having the level of pressure, and it is poor people's children who are dying. It's South African children who are dying. And so, we appreciate what the minister and the officials get to share with the South African public, but it just simply is not true. It simply does not resonate. We have not found that on the ground. And so, we can't corroborate what they're saying. What we know for sure is that we have been speaking to South Africans, ordinary people, ordinary business owners in South Africa who are South African, who are saying they simply cannot compete. They simply do not have space, and they simply cannot charge the types of prices that illegal foreign nationals are able to charge, purely because of the way that they are obtaining their goods, and that we've seen several videos. I mean, footage doesn't lie. I'm sure you've seen videos doing the rounds every time there have been raids of what have been found at these Spaza shops. And it simply is not true. It does not ring true. And we absolutely reject that with the contempt that it deserves.
And what do you think has gone wrong in how government has been regulating these Spaza shops? Where did we put the foot off the pedal?
I think, we must underline the word regulate because, regularizing Spaza shops is not what is at play here. The legislation exists that, all of these businesses must be registered. The reality is that there is enforcement that is not happening. Bylaw enforcement has not happened. Health inspections have not happened. We always are very much reactionary in the way that we're dealing with this issue. And I mean, children did not have to die for us to be ramping up these issues as we are. I mean, I don't want to toot our horn, but Mr. Herman Mashaba, when he was mayor, he started talking about these illicit goods and poisonous goods and expired goods in all of these stores all around the city of Johannesburg. It is now almost reaching 10 years later, this reality, and the government did not act when it could have acted sooner. We do have health inspectors. I would like to know what our health inspectors do on a daily basis, because they should have been seeing this. And every time they have gone to do these inspections, I think a couple of weeks ago, you saw the MEC of Health in Ekurhuleni, and how ghastly the conditions that they found in the Spaza shops were. People who are illegally in the country is the number one issue that we have. And then they're not supposed to operate businesses without being able to invest or at least over 5 million rand into the economy. All of these things are not happening. And there are people, there are officials, there are government officials that are supposed to simply are not. Otherwise, things would not be as dire as they are. And we are taking on this mantle, and we are fighting this battle, and we want to see it to its logical conclusion. But it simply cannot be left unchecked. We cannot have this level of lawlessness continue in our country. Had it been your child or mine, we should be able to feel the pain of the parents who have felt how they have felt simply because they can't afford knickknacks, because our country, the economy is what it looks like, and the high levels of unemployment. We simply cannot turn a blind eye. We need to act, and we need to apply pressure where it belongs. And that is simply the work that we have started to do. And the Spaza for Locals campaign, just to conclude, is not something that has just happened day before yesterday just because children have been dying. We started this campaign way back in April. We just coined the phrase, but the work really started at the inception when we started to highlight the issue of illegal immigration in our country.
So from the picture that you paint, Lerato, with regards to the infiltration of foreign-owned Spaza shops within the townships, coupled with the 2022 Township CX report, I mean, it shows just the scale in terms of how 150 billion rands in cash flows through an estimated 150,000 Spaza shops annually across the country, contributing 5.2% to South Africa's GDP. So how do you foresee then that transition from these majority foreign-owned Spaza shops to the campaign in which you're mandating that 100% of these Spaza shops should be locally owned?
Well, obviously, it didn't. All of these things did not happen overnight. This proliferation did not happen overnight. But we've got to start somewhere. Part of being able to be successful is that you've got to start. What we need is to make sure that these raids continue. And once the raids continue, and we have people demonstrating to us that they're in this country legally, and if they're in the country legally, then are they following levels of investment that needs to be injected into the economy if in fact they are here legally, and also that the businesses that they're operating are able to pay the commercial taxes that are due to the state, and also that they're operating within the prescripts of licensing for commercial use in the environments in which they operate. That is number one. Number two is that the reason why we're starting this process, even though we're still in the drafting of the bill proposal that is going to go before the National Assembly, is that we want South Africans to come on board. We want South Africans who are complicit, and we don't really blame them because the economic situation in our country is what it is. And so people have had to, find other ways to survive. And have also been former Spaza shop owners, which is why they've been able to lease their buildings out to foreign nationals, because they simply could not compete. And so for us is to say, number one, we've started this campaign so we can do a tour, go around the country, conduct civic education, solicit views from the public as to how it is we're going to go through this transition. We can take it province by province, ward by ward, township by township, city by city. But this work has got to be done. Law enforcement has got to do its work. Border Management Authority has got to do its work. Home Affairs has got to do its work. And so for us just to marshal the troops and to do a call of action, which is what we have done, and we're hoping that us putting this bill before the National Assembly and proposing it for debate on the floor of the National Assembly, we hope that we will receive the necessary support so that this work can happen, because we cannot continue in the fashion that we have continued. It is very bad for social cohesion in our country. It is very bad for the name of South Africa and South Africans, because we are not xenophobic. We are simply a people who are asking for space. And we are simply a people who are fighting for their country so that we do not fall to the hands of criminality, and we do not fall to the running shadow governments in our country. This is not a conspiracy. This is a true story.
Right.
Facts are there. And so it's important for us to do this work, and we are going to continue and be unrelenting at going about it.
Okay, Lerato Ngobeni, thank you so much for joining us this evening and giving us those insights. That's ActionSA's Parliamentary Chief Whip, Lerato Ngobeni, speaking to us there about their Spaza for Locals campaign as a party.